This is All About Home Construction, and here's your hosts, Terry Cannell-Beck and Randy Blake.
That's right. Good morning, Mr. Randy.
Good morning, Terry, and everybody out there.
How are you, buddy?
Good.
Little wet this morning?
That wasn't bad.
It's not bad at all. It's just a little wet, but nothing major, right?
Yep. And, well, you know, we need the water.
We do. We do need the water.
We're just not going to get what they thought we was going to get.
Well, you know, you can't always get what you want. We should write a song about that. So, anyway, all about home construction this morning. Good morning. Thanks for listening to us. We really appreciate all of you out there, especially in the the radio world that's listening to us live right now on Saturday morning, or the podcast world that's listening to us live, recorded on Saturday morning. Maybe you're listening to it next week, or this week, or tonight.
Yeah.
Happy evening. Yeah. There you go.
Well, thanks to everybody that came out to the rock and roll breakfast.
Oh my goodness, it was a good breakfast. It really tasted good. I got some good bacon, got some eggs. I like the biscuits and gravy, and then I had another little biscuit with some jelly on it. So.
Oh, so you just did the whole thing.
That's kind of why you sent the guys back out putting more biscuits out when I was there. You didn't realize I was the guy who was eating them all.
Oh, those are good biscuits, aren't they?
They were good biscuits. So, yeah, it's good food. When's the next breakfast?
First of the month.
First of the month. First Saturday of every month, right?
Yep. And we thank everybody for coming out. And appreciate, that just helps the VFW out.
That's it. And we appreciate all the listeners who decided to come in. So thank you for supporting a good cause and a good group. So thank you for listening and doing that. So there you go. 2 pats on the back today.
Well, one thing we are doing is now you can call the VFW to reserve your 32-ounce steak.
32
because I can't get caught again like I did last time.
Right. Well, but you got a dinner coming up before that, right?
Yeah, next Saturday is the stuffed chicken dinner. And, excuse me, it'll have 3 types of cheeses, 3 or 4 different types of peppers on it.
Yum.
Wrapped in bacon, grilled with teriyaki sauce.
So that's next Saturday, the 21st or whatever it is.
4 to 7.
Yeah, sweet.
And,
so get on out there. Make your plans. So.
Yeah, it'll be the 21st.
Sweet. Well, there you go. That'll be fun. Well, again, thanks to everybody for making it out there.
Golly, it's been about 8 years, 10 years since we did that chicken.
I was going to say, I don't remember. I mean, I remember you doing it, but I don't remember when that was. So.
Well, we try to mix it up a little. Or we're trying this year. We've had the Italian dinner, we've had the brisket and pork dinner, and we're trying to hold them at the same time every year. Plus, it gives me a little bit of a break.
Sure. Well, great. So, well, cool stuff. Well, what's going on in the world of construction right now?
Coming into fall, everybody gets a squeeze this time of year.
Mm-hmm. Well, it especially we're still in hurricane season. The weather's kind of hard to predict sometimes, and that definitely puts a hamper on things. And it's not quite the same as the winter when you get the ice and snow, but at the same time, it does slow construction down.
Yes, it does. And when you're doing your estimating and stuff, there is a line item for that because cold weather.
Mm-hmm.
Once it drops below a certain degree,
yeah,
labor intensifies. Same thing with the heat, like out west.
Yep.
Think about those firefighters with all these fires with their equipment on.
Sure.
And they can't move like, they need to move because
exactly
the heat's taking a toll on them.
That's it. Well, that's why I think 60 degrees is the perfect weather. It's cool in the morning. This is why I love fall in the mountains. It's cool in the mornings. Put on a light jacket. By midday, you take the jacket off. You're good to go. It's the way to go. It's the best time of year.
Oh, I agree with you.
No, that's cool. Well, a listener question for you here. So, speaking of kind of cool weather, explain, and we will, just a quick question here. Explain the difference. So, what's the R value of wood, first off?
1.
So, if I have a log house that's 6-8 inches thick, I only have an R value of 6 or 8. Why is that, acceptable when we can't put in insulation on a stick-built house less than, or that low, 6 and 8?
Well, it has to do with the U value.
Gotcha.
Okay, the U value is how the log absorbs the heat from the inside of the house in the wintertime.
Mm-hmm.
So how dense does that? How far into that log does the heat go to stop the cold?
Gotcha.
So it's the density of the wood that gives it the U value.
Gotcha.
And so that's the only way you can explain it is wood density to thickness.
Right.
And traveling through. Unlike a block wall, once it starts cooling, it starts sucking it.
Exactly.
Yep. Heat is drawn out by cold.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what I thought. That was sort of my explanation, but I thought, you know what, I'm gonna save it and ask Randy. So there we go. Hopefully you're listening out there, and that answers that question for you.
Well, the U value of wood is relatively low, which means the wooden building allow very little heat to escape.
All right.
So once it warms up, it holds the heat.
Sure.
Except in Abraham Lincoln's, he only had a 3-wall cabin.
What can we say? It's from Kentucky.
And I don't know. They're disputing that now.
They're always disputing history. I love it. It's the best part of it.
The last article I read he was born in Asheville.
Well, his mother was born in Virginia, where I'm from. So, there you go.
Somebody must have found the old Bible.
It's pretty cool stuff. Anyway, we won't get stuck on history too much. Abraham Lincoln. We can go down quite the path with that. So, I like a good Abraham Lincoln debate, too. The best and the worst president all in one.
Well, I took Deb when we come back from Minnesota. Did
you stop by Springfield?
Well, we did stay in Springfield, but we come on down, and I came through Kentucky and we went by the Abraham Lincoln Library.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I can't remember that little town that, they have the gates so
they
can't get flooded out by the Clinch River.
Yep. Above Kingsport. I can't remember the name of the town now. You're heading from here, just like you're heading towards Cumberland Gap.
Yep.
It'll come on me. I'll think about it in a minute. But anyway, it's not London, Kentucky. London's on anyway. I know what you're talking about. I've been by it, but yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Anyway, enough about Abraham Lincoln, unless we want to really start talking about it. So let's take a first break. That way we can get into all about home construction here in WATA. Thanks for listening to us. We'll be right back. The Boone VFW Post 7031 is looking at making improvements to their Veterans Memorial Wall, and you can help. Here's Chuck.
We could do engraved bricks to cover the memorial. It's in honor of the veterans who have served and some that have given their all for our country. And that's the one thing that we feel as the VFW that we can do to honor those who have come before and those who are even present today.
But Chuck, what do we have to do to participate?
You don't have to be a war veteran in order to be a part of this memorial. It's just that you served.
What is the cost?
That fee is only $50, but it's a lifetime investment.
If you would like to help participate by honoring a family member, a friend, or a loved one, you can contact the Boone VFW Post 7031 at 828-264-9570. They are on VFW Drive just off of State Farm Road here in Boone. Thank you for all that have served. That's right. All about home construction here on WATA. And again, thanks to all of our listeners out there. We appreciate you so much.
Yep.
So, all right, Randy, let's get into a little bit of topics here for the All About Home Construction show. So, so often we, on this show anyway, we really are pushing the trades, right? Especially for younger people, but in particular, just the trades in general. And, there's such a need for people to fill those jobs.
Correct. And they're getting hard to fill because, well, think of this. They're hiring people in restaurants for $18 an hour.
Yep.
The national starting wage is what they're saying here for a laborer is $18 an hour.
Sure. So if I can not work as hard and get the same amount of money, I mean, you can't blame people too much for that.
And
so yeah, no, I mean that's right. That's the big thing, because in general, like, we want people to make a living. Don't get me wrong, but I want to buy a house and be able to afford a house also. And so there's that fine line of doing both, right?
correct. And you can't buy a home if you don't make a decent wage.
Right. Oh, I know. I mean,
Much less pay for it.
Exactly.
And it's almost like construction workers. We all charge too much. Well, as a rule of thumb, if you pay a person $18 an hour, you need to add 2.5% to cover taxes and stuff like that, and insurances.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if that's $18 an hour as a starting labor, and then you got people that you're paying $35 an hour because you're paying them for what they do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You've doubled your costs in labor. I mean, it's and that's right. That's the trade-off, and that's what I'm saying is, like, you gotta. I don't know. It's a tricky balance thing for sure. But either way you look at it, there's definitely a demand for people to fill those roles.
Yep.
And maybe it's because I've got kids at the school, at the age of going into to the workforce soon, full time and stuff. But I was really just thinking about, like, what are some of the biggest? We hear this a lot, right, on the news and stuff. Oh, high demand. But, like, what is it that's actually in demand? What particular areas are in demand? And I think the answer is all of the above. I mean, there's certainly a demand for about anything that you can lump into that construction business.
Everything,
yeah.
from starting from the masons,
Yeah,
all the way out to the painters.
exactly.
And
exactly.
The workforce is just not there.
Yeah. Well, and it's not just residential. It's the commercial side of the construction industry. I mean, some of these industrial mechanics, for instance, are there's a big need for that. People who states and cities and towns are trying everywhere to catch up with infrastructure. So pipe layers, right? Like if you could get into that business of sewers and drains and water mains and things like that. That there's what, 33,000 jobs, it says, throughout various utility systems and governments. But and then excavation, and that goes for both construction, as far as residential and construction, right?
Right.
So it's some of those jobs, but then as we focus in, though, I mean, like I said, it's a lot of different jobs.
And even a laborer has to do a little bit of studying. It's not on the job training totally 100%. That there's got a lot of publications out there, mm-hmm. like for framing and stuff
right.
like that, to meet the standards of today's, or even 40 years ago when I started. To meet the standards, because everything was the same.
Right.
I've built in 3 different states, and everything we've done is the same.
Sure. Right. Well, these jobs, the demand, of course, varies by region. Depends on what you're doing and what's going on in your area. But overall, you typically see electricians towards the top of whatever list you're looking at. So that's interesting. I think nationwide, the average salary that I can find for electricians is about $55,000 or $55,000 a year for electricians. Now, I don't know what goes into that number in terms of how many years and stuff like that. I don't know if that's starting pay or what, but $55,000 a year is what it's listed as the salary.
Well, here's one that most people don't even think about, and most people don't charge for it. But the thing about it is the average base salary for a construction estimator, national average is $65,000 per year.
Wow.
And the salary range is between $41,000 and $95,000. See, you just don't. you just don't sit down with a piece of paper and say that whole house is going to cost X amount of dollars with doing the math on the whole thing. And that starts with the material takeoff.
Right. Well, that's pretty cool. But what would that job actually entail, though? I mean, is it simply as easy as, or not as easy, but simply as simple as doing just that, going around and just nothing but estimations for companies?
Well, there's a lot of your bigger companies. That's all they have. They have an estimator.
Okay.
And that's their job, is to estimate the jobs out. And when somebody gives you a set of plans that doesn't have all the details on it, it's hard to estimate things out, and that takes time.
Right.
Going back and forth with not surveying, but like we had a class 3 years ago at the home builders, and one of the number one things that a lot of builders want now is topo.
Mm-hmm.
Because they can tell how the ground lays out, and they know how high your foundation is going to be, the whole 9 yards from a topo.
Well, I mean that's the cool thing when these construction estimators, they're going out, right, and they're looking at the blueprints, they're looking at the materials, like what is the current material cost, even, what's the labor cost, what trends are going on right now, and so. It does. It takes a lot of time, and I could definitely see. I mean, because we've talked. I mean, you've talked about it. We've talked to other, contractors about it, and even small business, small subcontractors. Like that takes a lot of time, and it kind of makes sense to dedicate a job to that.
Well, back in the 90s, 2000s, we kept our same subs. Mm-hmm. All right,
mm-hmm.
and the subs we work together.
Right.
Now in this day and time, you're fighting for subs, so you might have a new sub.
Right.
All right, and if that new sub don't quite understand everything, then somebody's got to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I've sent you pictures over the last couple of years about people, especially plumbers, cutting through LVLs and beams and stuff to run their sewer lines through.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's, again, this is one of those nationwide type things. I mean, it's, there's jobs here in North Carolina. Again, I don't know how accurate this ZipRecruiter website is, but it's telling us that in North Carolina, you can make $83,000 a year, but it's a range of basically 36 all the way up to 100 and something, I don't know. To me, that's cool. That's a cool job. Like you said, you don't really. It's not a commonly thought of job. So.
Correct. Here's one. Land surveyors.
Mm-hmm.
Average pay for them $61,958.
Exactly. I'm trying to talk my kid into. Well, I'm not talking him into it, but he's. That's one of the things Carson's talked about, and I was like, dude. They're all kind of dying out, right? Like it's not a field that's getting replenished as quick as some of the others. And
no, Watauga used to have, when I was in high school, had a big surveying class.
Right. Yeah. So he's that's a land surveyor. I think is a cool job. As far as that part goes, and you're. You're not stuck in the office necessarily all day. I mean, there's quite a bit of office work, don't get me wrong.
Oh, there is. You have to do your research, title research,
yeah.
and stuff like that, deed research.
But it's it's pretty cool stuff. I mean, it's you're out and about though, and but like you said, there's good money in it.
Here's a hard one. And that's masons, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And to get masons, it's pretty tough out there. Get a good mason that is even tougher, but the average salary for a mason is $61,000, $87,000.
Wow. Well, the thing about masons, though, right, is typically they start to specialize, but the more you do it, the more you specialize in one specific thing, because when you say masons, you have bricklayers, you have stone masons, you have concrete, finishers gets thrown into that, and you're doing everything from like the foundation walls to these like I guess structural elements, right? Like various residential house, like facing. I mean, brick layers, stuff like that. So masons is one of those that kind of is a large catch-all for a lot of smaller skills and trades, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you hit on a big one there about specializing in something, and rock masons. To me, that's an art.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay, because you've seen some real good rock work that's just clean as can be, and then you've seen some rock work that is just nasty.
Yeah.
And
well, but we've also seen the bricks that are falling away from the house, or the joints are not quite parallel with each other. So
that's brick ties there. You know, they don't meet the code restrictions on brick ties every 2 foot. That's the reason you see in the tornado season a lot of side of bricks come off.
Yep, crash.
If it wasn't for the wind, you'd probably never know that the brick ties weren't in there.
Exactly.
Actually, Troy called me a couple of weeks ago about a house he was bidding on.
Yeah.
And the brick was coming off the house because they didn't have enough ties.
Oh,
no. And I didn't realize that Clean Space actually has a thing that they can drill through and hit into a stud and will help hold the brick on.
Like a little anchor type thing.
Yeah, and he was explaining it to me.
That's cool. Cool.
I'd like to see some pictures on that.
That'd be cool. We'll have to get Troy on and explain that to us.
And he's doing real good.
Good. Okay, another one that you can make, depends on where you're at. You can actually, this is just not even as an owner, but in terms of just a laborer. Like if you want to go get a job as an excavator, you can make $50-something an hour.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. And again, that expands the gamut of things because if you've got those skills, you can help with like road construction. But in terms of home construction, you're always excavating and moving in dirt and fixing a place up and getting ready to build.
Correct.
$50 an hour is a pretty sweet little average salary there. Building and clearing everything out for the foundation. But you're also one of the first people. First people really hired on a job.
Well, the surveyor,
right,
is the first, I would think, because most important on these houses here is to call a surveyor in to set your pins for your footers and set your pins for your house. Mm-hmm. That way, you've got a good square house.
Right.
Coming out of the ground, that's most important.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, that's a cost that you have to charge to the homeowner. But even if you were to set up batter boards,
right?
And I remember seeing batter boards 20 foot off the ground, and they're bracing them so they can get up over the ladder so they can move their pins and stuff so they can get their corners square.
Yeah.
Well, with a surveyor, that saves all that.
Sure.
We like I said, we built Will's house, and one pole was 28 foot off the ground.
Wow. Yeah.
And so that helped us out by the surveyor coming in, shooting the footers in for us, then come back and shooting the pins in for where the posts went.
Right. Makes sense. And then, but then you got to have these heavy equipment operators that know what they're doing to use that, I guess you would say, right? Like you got to use that information now. And so those equipment operators are
a
crucial.
good
equipment operator.
I mean, they'll set up and they'll dig a straight line.
Mm-hmm.
And with the new equipment, they can set the depth with it so it automatically goes down. And
right.
Remember when we was sitting here watching them tear the swimming pool down over here, and they was in there with the track hose? That was a 250. And it was just beating the operator all the depth of that 250.
We were watching that. We felt bad for that guy. He went home with a headache. He'd hit it, and that whole excavator would shake.
And well, it'd shake enough to it seemed like it's giving him a concussion.
We honestly were kind of worried about the guy.
So they brought a 350 track hoe over here, and
it still didn't have the easiest time, did it?
No, but it broke it up. It didn't jar as bad as the 250.
Yeah, that was fun to watch next door here. we spent several Saturday mornings just standing there watching. For sure. Well, yeah. So excavators, again, the heavy equipment operators, really one of the hot needs, if you will, for the construction industry, and yeah, it's pretty cool. So, well, again, we talked about a little electricians. There's electricians are always in need. Along with that comes plumbers, right? Especially those that are, again, going back to that specialized part. There's two different. I mean, plumbers do it both. Don't get me wrong, but there's really two different specializations, and that's plumbing repairs, and then plumbing installation. And depends on where you're at. Both of those are pretty much in high demand.
Yeah. Oh yeah, plumbers are.
And the right plumber can make $70,000 a year. It's just, you got to learn how to read a blueprint, know where to put pipes, but
got to know fall.
Yep.
North Carolina's got a comprehensive code on everything, and it's all geared for safety.
Right.
And most people don't think about septic gases. I know from time to time you'll go by a house with a real active septic tank and the wind just blows it your way.
Yeah.
Well, they have to know how to make the air flow.
Exactly.
So that's not a big problem in your house.
Yeah. No, I know a friend that built his house, and it was like, especially in the summer when the air was still, it was like it'd be hot and muggy, and you could just smell it. But the cool thing about plumbers, it typically takes a high school diploma. I guess most states, though, require some kind of certification, maybe licensure, whatever you want to call it.
Well, North Carolina, for electrician, plumber, and heat and air, is 2,000 hours in the classroom, 2,000 hours on the job.
Mm.
And then the owner of the company has to sign off for you to take your test for
right.
that. That's a lot of time studying.
That really is. Yeah.
And we were really surprised when they were making everybody go to class and not making us contractors go to class.
Sure.
So now I have, 10 hours a year that I have to take my test.
Right. That's a lot different than 2,000 to start. Anyway, we'll take a break. We'll come right back right after this. Are you looking for a sawmill dealership that can provide you with the quality equipment you need to get the job done? Look no further than Blue Ridge Sawmills. We offer the full line of Hudson sawmills and sawmilling equipment, from portable sawmills to skidding winches. At Blue Ridge Sawmills, we understand that every project is different, which is why we offer a wide range of sawmilling services. We can help you from everything from finding the right mill for your farm, hobby, or even your business. We also offer a variety of sawmilling supplies, such as blades and debarkers, so you can get everything you need in one place. If you're looking for a sawmill dealership that can provide you with the quality equipment and the service you need, then come to Blue Ridge Sawmills. We're here to help you get the job done. Call or visit our Cana, Virginia store at 276-755-3833 or our Asheboro, North Carolina location at 336-964-8304. That's right. All about home construction here on WATA. And again, thanks to all of our listeners out there. Hey, don't forget, Randy, not that you will forget, but next week at the VFW on the 21st, the chicken dinner.
Stuffed chicken. Now, that does come with a salad bar.
Good.
In the meal, so
good.
I'm working. Sorry I hadn't got the cost out.
That's all right. We'll get there and figure it out next week.
Food cost, chicken, like chicken wings.
Mm-hmm.
I went all the way up to $135 for a 40-pound box of jumbo wings.
Explain this to me, because, not to get sidetracked off the construction, but time out. I remember working, my first job in high school in terms of like a business was working at Kentucky Fried Chicken. Wings were the things that nobody wanted. They get mad if you gave them extra wings. And now chicken wings are so popular, they cost you more than, sometimes as much as breasts do.
Oh, they're good. Well,
I mean, I love a good chicken wing, but why are you paying for the bone?
I buy wings for the home builders
Mm-hmm.
golf tournament,
Yeah.
which was yesterday, and I hope they had a great time at it.
Nice.
The weather gave them a break, but like I said, they were $135, and then my cost on them was $99.
Dang.
So that's getting pretty expensive.
Yeah.
But they blamed it on euthanizing those 18 million
Yeah.
chickens
What,
out in the
handful
middle.
of years ago?
No, just this last
Did
last
they
spring.
did they do another one this year?
Yeah.
Because I thought they were still trying to dig out last year or whatever it was.
No, they had to euthanize 18 million because of the bird flu.
Bird flu. Well, there you go. Ugh. All right. Well, I like a good chicken wing. Yum.
Well, that's what they use them old hens for.
That's why I like buffalo wings. You ever seen a buffalo fly?
Nope.
But their wings sure do taste good. Love it. All right.
Hard to beat a good chicken wing.
Yeah. Unless it's a big pork chop sandwich or something. But yeah, you're right. Chicken wings are pretty good. All right. Enough about food. I'm getting hungry. Also, don't forget about the car show at Three Forks Baptist Church today, right?
10 to 2.
10 to 2. And,
You know, Terry was so hungry, I talked him into the VFW last
oh,
week.
yeah. There wasn't much convincing last week. I was pretty starving, and you kept talking about bacon. And then Facebook has picked up on the fact that we were talking about bacon, apparently, because a friend of mine were texting back and forth, and we kept getting bacon, like things, ads and stuff like that popping up on Facebook. So there we go. Anyway, I like good bacon. Can't go wrong. Cook it any way you want. I'll eat it. But anyway, okay, getting back to some construction job. That's what people want to listen to on All About Home Construction. All right, one of the top nationwide job needs is HVAC. HVAC is one of those that, heating, ventilation, air conditioning. Those technicians are super, super in demand.
Well, there's a lot of math in the heating and air guys. They got to do res checks on your house.
Right.
We talked about this, just a couple of weeks ago. That if they don't do the proper research on your home, then they can put too small a unit in or put too big a unit.
Yep.
And generally when you put too big a unit in, especially in the summertime, it cycles on and off so fast it doesn't get rid of the moisture in your house.
Yeah.
And can become a dangerous house.
Yeah. Well, a good HVAC technician is going to make close to that $30 an hour range. I mean, $60,000 a year in that neighborhood, and that's pretty cool.
All the jobs now in the construction field.
Yeah.
You have to do a little bit of education,
Right.
and people don't think that. You don't need a college degree, but you got to be able to think like everybody else around you.
Well,
and that is the hard part. Is, well, why do you want to do it this way? Because that's how we're all trained to do it. And
right.
You always got that stick in the mud that says, well, this is a little better.
Yeah.
Well, no, just go on home and don't worry about it because I'm the one paying you.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, we say that though, like part of that's a framing of the mind, right? Is because today we think, oh, you've got to have this, this training, this, certification, this and that. Since the beginning of America, we've been having apprenticeships, and that's really, we just called it apprenticeships instead of, training or licensures, right? And so it's not really out of the realm. I mean, we've always, I guess, tried to teach and train our skills people.
Correct.
Craftsmen.
And as long as everybody's trained the same, then you can go into it. Let's say you and your boss go have a falling out.
Sure.
You can go to work for somebody else because they're going to do the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And that that's pretty cool. And that's I like it. I like it. You can HVAC though, I think is one of those big important things again because it's not just new construction. Like a good HVAC technician is constantly fixing, existing systems.
Correct. And they do break down. And probably the most common is your air conditioner. Mm-hmm. But, the air conditioner takes a lot of beating.
Right.
Especially you got a person that doesn't think 70 degrees is cold enough.
Yeah.
Then they turn it down to 60 degrees. And the high humidity outside, and the thing starts to freeze up, and then it doesn't function.
All day long. Yep. Well, and then, but also there's so many choices too. Like you said, you got to get the right system. But then there's many splits now. There's, when it comes to the heating side, there's like 5 different ways you could heat your house. I mean, it's a constant growing and changing field. So.
Oh, it is. And, science is behind it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's mega companies working on ways to conserve energy all the time.
Exactly.
And, as I said last week, I guess it was last week when we was on the radio, I was talking about your house is not going to breathe if we're building them so tight now that we're going to have to put air exchange units in.
Right.
And the air exchange unit has to be in controlled environment.
Mm-hmm.
And that is if your house has an air exchange unit, you do have to maintain it. After your contractor leaves, it's generally good for a year, but you got to change your filters after that on your own.
Sure. All right. Okay, another one on the list that's typically at the top of top 10 of most lists: roofers, people who are installing, but also the maintenance and the repair of roofs. Because I don't know about you, but I've never seen a house or a building without a roof. And
well, they have to.
So that's
But there you go. There's a variety of different trades there.
Right.
Used to be the asphalt shingles. If it blew off, you had an asphalt, you could pry it up, especially on a cool day.
Yep.
And you could slide the shingle out, put a new shingle in. Now with the fiberglass shingles, you have to do it on a hot day to try to get that shingle out. Because on a cool day, they'll break on you.
You mean you can't just put shingles on top of each other?
Well, you can 2 layers, but after 2 layers,
7, you said 7?
No, I didn't say 7.
I mean,
like that picture I sent
that's
you.
where I was going. Randy sent me a picture a while back, and I didn't really know. You couldn't even count them. There were so many of them. I kid you not. There was 8 or 10 layers on there.
Yeah.
It was 5 inches thick.
And to clarify the code, you can put another layer of shingles on due to code. Okay. The only problem is that creates a half-life for the shingle on top because of the extra heat it absorbs.
Yeah. And it creates quite the bit of stress on your
added weight to your rafter
house.
system.
Yeah. So, but a good roofer, you can make anywhere from $45,000 all the way up to $80,000 is kind of that average. That's the national average for a good roofer is about $70,000. So again, there's a lot that goes into that. Of course, there's quite a bit of risk that goes into it. I mean, it's not the safest job out there.
It's the hard job.
Yeah, I mean, if you do things correctly, though, you can do it safely. The problem is, I think a lot of people cut corners on that job, and being such a dangerous job when you cut corners, it doesn't work out.
Well, code now, and most people don't know. Homeowners don't know about the code.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of roofers out there don't know the code. And like for shingle roofs, the code calls for drip edge on all edges.
Right.
It also calls for a starter shingle on all edges. Okay?
Right.
And that's for wind. And in the valleys, you can either put metal or you can put weather shield in the valleys. All right? Now, these are all code issues that a lot of people overlook. And when you don't put drip edge on, when you put your shingles on, and you got your gutters on, after the rain comes and the water starts to evaporate, it goes underneath your shingles and get in your soffit and get in your roof.
Mm-hmm.
The drip edge keeps the moisture from coming on up. That's the reason it's called a drip edge. So if you,
right.
How many times you seen a roofer that cuts the shingle off flush with the drip edge?
Right. Yeah.
Well, if that starter shingle is not glued to that drip edge, then that'll allow that water to run underneath that shingle and then get onto your plywood and start rotting in there. I've seen a lot of roofs like that.
Sure.
Instead of what the manufacturer says, put your drip edge on, put your starter shingle on 3/4 inches past your drip edge, Now you've got 1.5 inch drip line on your fascia board.
Right.
So you're protecting it more, and you still meet the wind requirements.
Perfect. But if I do 7 layers, it meets the wind requirement because it's too heavy to blow away.
I think it exceeds the roof, the dead live or the dead load on your roof.
Fine, I'll just do 6 layers. We'll be right back right after this. Are you ready to level up your home construction game? Obviously, you've subscribed to All About Home Construction. Now we would like to ask you for some support. You can be like Dave, Bill, and Skipper and help support All About Home Construction. The links are in the show notes. That's right, All About Home Construction here on WATA. And again, thanks to all of our listeners out there, especially the podcast world this morning. We appreciate that. We do ask that you share it with some friends because we want to grow, man. And we're trying to get bigger and better. And we got some irons in the fire as always, and we appreciate that.
Yep.
So
I was telling Terry that I went through a small town in Washington State called Concrete, Washington.
Nice. I wonder if they make cement there.
I couldn't tell you because it was just a little old town with a post office and a restaurant. We stopped there to eat, but it's the first time in my life I've ever seen metal roofing put over cedar shakes.
When you said that, my brain, the first thing that came to my mind was a rainforest.
And
that's a rainforest underneath there.
Correct. And what he means by that is every time it rains and the water evaporates, it goes up underneath that metal.
Yeah.
And, cedar shakes, they will rot over a period of time, but when that water is underneath that metal, same thing with putting metal over shingles. You've created a pressure cooker from the heat.
Exactly. Every time it heats up, and that wood's going to hold that moisture, and it's not going to be able to go anywhere because of the roof, and you're just baking it in.
Yeah.
And mold and moss and rot eventually, and then the shakes are, even if the cedar doesn't rot, what they're attached to will.
That's right.
That just seems like a big disaster to me.
Well, it was, and another one was last year we was down at Myrtle Beach, and my nephew hung his camper, and some guy said, "Well, I'll lend you a 20-ton jack," and I said, "Okay." So I went down there and looked at his house, and I said, "Hey, nice roof you got there." And he said, "Oh yeah." He said, "I put that on, and I'm an engineer, and then I got to seeing the screws backing out of it, because I truly don't believe in putting metal over architectural shingles because you get the divots on it anyhow."
Right.
And that's what was happening to his, was where he had divoted the screws. That water was getting underneath the metal.
Right. And
starting to rot, and you cannot put number 9s, number 10s in OSB. And all double wides are OSB sheeting.
Right. Yep. All right. Well, before we wrap things up completely, floor installers is on the list. And that one's a whole gamut of things, from carpet to tile to wood. Depends on where you're at, though. You can make anything from, minimum wage but typically around the $20 an hour range.
Well, floor installers are a big one.
Mm-hmm.
To me, they are need to be paid the best because they're down on their hands and knees all day long.
Exactly.
And getting the floor, and Terry, you're a sander.
Yeah.
A finisher. And
it's a skill.
Yes, it is. And if it's not done correctly, then it looks like junk. I mean, we had a company that came in and finished the floor for us, but what caught my eye is when I walked across it, because we had these round stair treads. All right.
Right.
And I caught it on a sunny day, and there was divots in behind the stair treads where they took the edger and they dug too deep.
Right.
And so I had to hire another gentleman, which lifestyle hardwood flooring, and he come in, instead of using the edger, he hand scraped it all to blend it in, and
exactly. Because you know why? That's what craftsmen do.
Correct.
So, anyway, we appreciate it. Well, hopefully some people have some fun with that. Don't forget the car show at Three Forks Baptist Church today, 10 to 2. don't forget to make plans for next Saturday for chicken dinner at the VFW.
Stuffed chicken.
That's it. Well, Randy, I'll see you then. Take care, man.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the podcast edition of All About Home Construction. We want to thank Skipper, Dave, and Bill for supporting the show. If you're enjoying this episode and you want to help us by creating some more awesome content, there are a few ways you can show your support. Subscribe and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. This actually helps us reach new listeners and climb the charts. And please share this episode with your friends and family. Word of mouth is always the best kind of advertising. You can support us directly through our page on Spotify. The links are in the show notes. Thanks for listening to us.